He looked me in the eye with those mirrored sunglasses and said, "If you can get this bird off the ground, I'll hand you the keys," then glanced at my mop and added, "Doubt you even know where the start switch is." And yeah, that happened. And 10 minutes later, I was the one bringing his prototype back to Earth, smooth as a whisper, while his jaw tried to catch up with reality. My name is Avery Cole, and I'm the woman people don't see until I make noise by doing my job. Right, you know what I mean? This is not the headline version. This is how it actually felt from inside my chest. I work nights at Harbor Point Aerodrome on the San Diego Bay, the kind of hangar that smells like salt and jet fuel and second chances, if you're paying attention. Whitaker Aero is the name on the door, Grant. Whitaker is the one on the magazine covers, billionaire record chaser, owns the kind of watch that keeps time you can't afford. And me, I push a yellow cart and wipe fuel sheen off concrete before sunrise, because clean floors tell the truth about whether a place respects machines. The prototype sat center stage under the lights. Silver skin polished to the point it could lie about anything. Dual turbofans. Composite wings, adaptive avionics that say they're fine right up until they aren't. And while I was scrubbing by the nose gear, I caught a little hiss in the bleed air and a warm cabin pressure sensor on the ground cart that said in its own way, "I'll be dishonest above 20,000. So I spoke up simple and flat, "Your pressure system's going to tell you a bedtime story at altitude." And a couple guys smirked, and one hid behind a clipboard, and Grant gave me the tone rich people save for valet tickets. Appreciate the housekeeping, and I told him he could appreciate breathing if he swapped that sensor or compensated for temperature drift. When the chief tech checked the numbers and said almost under his breath, "She might be right," the laughter fell through the floor, so Grant did the thing men do when certainty gets bruised. He doubled down. "If you can fly this prototype, I'll hand you the keys." Wheels up, landed in one piece. Your name in the log, and phones came out low, like we couldn't see them, and I wrung my rag once and set it on the bucket and said, "You sure you want to make that promise out loud?" And he smiled like a billboard. "That's the point of a promise, to be heard." And I said, "Sometimes it's to be kept." Stairs down, heartbeat up, hands calm. I climbed into the left seat, because if you're going to risk your job, you might as well risk it properly. And the cockpit smelled like warm plastic and possibility. And the old life I'd locked in a closet battery on avionics check, fuel line, pressurized panel, waking up in green and amber, and my fingers remembered flows from flight lines far away back when my name tape said A. Cole, and my voice could ground a plane that whispered wrong back before a radio went silent on someone I loved, and I decided my feet belonged on concrete, not clouds. I taxied easy. Chin-level soft feet, no drama lined up, pushed the throttles forward like I meant it, but didn't need to prove it. The runway shortened, the world loosened wheels, kissed sky, and the bay opened like forgiveness. And for 10 minutes, I was just a pilot in a good machine, doing what machines and pilots are born to do, and then I put her back on the numbers like placing glass on a table. No bounce, no flex, just respect, door open, sun on my sleeves, and the man who made the dare had run out of smirks. You'd think that's the end, quick high-five, roll credits. But the internet doesn't love closure, it loves spectacle. The clip ran wild by lunchtime. Janitor flies, billionaire's jet makes clicks sing. Black woman pilots prototype while the boss watches, makes them dance, and suddenly the chain link outside the hangar was lined with cameras and questions about licenses and stunts and liability. And security tried guiding me out a side door, but if you live your life through side doors, you forget where the front one is, so I rolled my bucket past the lenses and went upstairs. Grant was in his glass office looping the same 10 minutes, like he could glare the ending into something easier. Jacket off, tie tugged the look of a man meeting gravity for the first time, and he pointed at a chair and said, "Sit." And I stood and said, You made a promise, and he said, I made a point, and I told him. He made a bet with someone he figured was safe to mock, and he lost. And he read my file like it might excuse him somehow. Avery Cole, night crew, prior service. Air Force crew chief, and I said, it wasn't a secret, just wasn't worth his respect an hour ago. And he said I could have died, and I said he could have too. And the difference was, I listened. Then came the boardroom with the expensive carpet. Nobody wants to stain, legal saying, trespass and liability, until the words lost flavor, me leaning on a chair back and telling the room. If the janitor can start fly and land your flagship better than the folks on your payroll, your problem isn't the janitor, and the HVAC was suddenly the loudest person there. And Grant surprised me. She's not security's problem, she's our new technical consultant for flight ops. Effective now, and faces went red or blank, and I said no, press circus, no parading me. I call unsafe and we stop, non-negotiable, and he matched it, non-negotiable, and then came the part. Nobody films because it's mostly sweat. Me fixing a crosswind autopilot wobble, where the code compensated lateral drag, but forgot lift differential, and me rewriting checklists that got cute over time. Me saying ground it, and a senior engineer flinching like I'd slapped him, and slowly, not loudly, the hangar started telling the truth again. PR pushed for a redemption segment, microphones in a row, an easy arc for the brand. And if there was going to be a moment like that, I wanted it to be honest. So we stood in the open hangar, and reporters flapped questions about stunts and quotas and credentials, and Grant did the most expensive thing a rich man can do in public, he said. I was wrong, then said he mocked me, and I kept his company from a mistake in the sky. And a woman with kind eyes asked what I wanted, and I told her, respect isn't a door you hold for me. It's the floor we all should be standing on. After the cameras packed, he found me under the wing, with my palm laying flat against rivets, like a quiet prayer, and said, come fly with me, proving run to Honolulu, then. Seattle co-pilot equal say, and it should have been an easy yes, but grief is a locksmith, and I told him my conditions procedure first, no heroics, no cameras in the cockpit. If something feels wrong, we stop. And he nodded like it mattered even when nobody could see him nodding, which is the only time a nod counts. We took off in the blue hour before the day starts. Judging you climb smooth ocean like hammered steel, and at 28,000, the right engine gave me a maybe nothing dramatic, just that little flirt instruments do when they're thinking about lying. And his hand twitched for the radio, and I said, leave it, we're not dead. We're deciding eased power adjusted mixture, let the airflow tell its story, and the panel blinked, reconsidered, behaved, and he looked at me with something I hadn't seen since the dare humility, and said, remind me to never doubt you, and I told him. You get one, you spent it last week, and he laughed like someone who set something heavy down. We finished that leg and the next, and somewhere over Washington, he said he wanted to build a program for kids who never get invited into the room, scholarships and a flight school that doesn't measure worth by a checkbook. And he asked me to run training, and I told him he could draw a plan, and I would read it like a checklist, and we'd see if his backbone matched his words, because people don't change for headlines. They change when the quiet parts of their life get louder than excuses. Coming home to San Diego, a storm line sat off the coast, not dangerous if you respect it, exactly the size of your mistakes if you don't. And we took one last hop to exercise the new logic in crosswinds, and the chop grabbed us, pressure, caution, a little stall, burp on the left, and I made my voice boring on purpose. My aircraft, and he lifted his hands and said, your aircraft and I pulled a hair of power and held attitude with soft elbows and rode the bumps like an adult, not a cowboy. And for one heartbeat, the wingtip took a bad sip of air, and my stomach remembered a funeral, and I heard Eli in my head saying, Feel it. Don't fight it. And I listened, and the storm slid by like a dark thought. You don't feed. And the panel went green in that quiet, unfamous way. And the landing wasn't pretty on purpose. It was honest, wheels on concrete, spoilers, up decel, exactly where it should be. And when we shut down, there were people at the fence with phones lit like little lighthouses. And there was the board waiting with faces set to neutral. And Grant stepped out and didn't wave, didn't grin, just let microphones catch him, saying, "I gave a woman a dare because I didn't respect her. She gave me a lesson I didn't deserve. We're going to build something that outlasts my pride. And you can argue whether that line was bravery or PR. That's the debate I'm opening right now. He didn't give me the jet. He gave me something he can't buy. He kept his word when nobody clapped. And I kept being me, the woman who will pull power on an ego faster than an engine. If safety asks for it, the board will huff, someone will mispronounce my last name at the next presser a week from now. I'll ground another airplane and someone will call me difficult. In an email. Good difficult is what safety sounds like to people who only ever heard yes. And if you catch me with my palm on a wing, I'm not posing. I'm saying grace because I needed the sky to say yes to me exactly once. And it did. The rest is work. Tell me what you think. In the comments was, Grant brave or cornered? Have you seen bias dressed up as standards? Have you watched someone keep a promise when it cost them their image drop? Keep your word. If accountability should be louder than apologies, tell me where you're watching from and share the moment you stopped waiting for permission. And if you want to see whether that flight school becomes real or just another rich man's speech, hit subscribe and let's find out together.